Okay, we are at 6:59. We'll give folks a few minutes to get in here. We are just going live to YouTube. Looks like that is connecting in. All right, we'll be ready to go in just a couple moments. All right, we are at 7:02:03. It just clicked to 7:03, so we might as well get started here. Whoops, I did just message our deputy director and our secretary to see if they could join us. I see our deputy director is joining us now. Let's get this started. My name is Scott Weldon, and this is the monthly meeting of monthly public meeting of South Carolina NORML. Um, all of our meetings are an environment of education and awareness, and they're not an open market for the sale, purchase, or distribution of cannabis. We do not encourage or illegal behavior of any kind. Welcome everybody that's here with us on the live Zoom meeting, anybody that might be watching live on our YouTube live stream, or hi to everybody that might be watching this later. With that, with that noted, that we are live streaming to YouTube. If you happen to be watching live on YouTube, um, please be aware that we are not monitoring comments on the live stream. So if you have any questions, comments, concerns, You may leave them there, and we will visit after the meeting at another time and try and answer your questions or address your concerns. Um, all right. Uh, I almost want to say welcome to the last monthly meeting. There's been some discussion with the board on do we consider continue the monthly meetings because we're doing a weekly South Carolina cannabis conversation. Um, and we feel we're really kind of covering a lot of the issues on the South Carolina cannabis conversation. Hmm, excuse me. Had to have that dark chocolate Hershey Kiss. Sorry about that. Um, because we tend to be a little bit more on top of what's going on week to week when we're arranging to be quite honest with you. There's a lot of times it's the day before the cannabis conversation when I will post something about, oh, here's our topic this week because something relatively new in the news cycle may have caught my attention. Or good example, I believe when I first heard of the scheduling of the S-150 with the Medical Affairs Committee, I believe that was like on a Tuesday morning. So I may have posted, hey, this is what we're talking about tomorrow. And it again will be what we're talking about tomorrow night at the South Carolina Cannabis Conversation at 7 p.m. Um, so your thoughts or your input on that would be appreciated. I have a little bit of mixed feelings on it because um, technically, according to our bylaws, we are supposed to have our regular board member meetings, which we do. We have those weekly, and some sort of membership meeting. So, I mean, we could sort of call the cannabis conversations our membership meetings. Um, I think the only reason I might want to maintain these monthly meetings would be to discuss things that may be a little bit of more administrative and or um, a word I've used a few times with our new secretary Kim is member value. Um, we're trying to come up with value of our organization to our members to try and help us build our membership and to help members feel that the money that they're donating to for their membership is appreciated. Um, so uh, that's one of the reasons I think I do like these meetings. We do talk about things that are not on topic in the news, um, things quite as much. I have here on my screen a copy of the agenda from the April 2018 meeting. Um, and basically, the way I've laid out these meetings in the past for our monthly meetings, we would talk about national legislative news. We would talk about state legislative news. We would discuss then chapter business. I actually was doing quite a bit of, here's a good example, progress to file our IRS with the IRS as a nonprofit update. Progress to file with the state for our tax exempt status. And there was an updated information there. Another line item on chapter business is board members were needed at the time. Having a full board really helps benefit the organization. And then what else do I have here? We're talking about some website updates. We had some VIP packs that were available for our 420 event that year. We had some sponsorships available. And I actually, on these monthly meetings, we got Joey coming in. Actually, on these monthly meetings, I used to report things like how many members we had, how many newsletter subscribers we had, how many people were signed up for Facebook. Here's kind of an interesting little statistic. In April of 2018, we had 988 Facebook likes, I guess you'd call them. Let me scroll here a moment. here we are in just a little shy of 3 years later. And we're at about 37,058 likes plus some extra, another 100 plus followers. Um, so we've grown our audience over the past few years, and so that was something that again I used to report regularly. I just lost where I hid that behind another screen. Where are you? There it is. Um, and I think it was just to kind of help keep our members aware, and maybe even to help alert our members to invite their friends, or things like that. Another thing we were working on 3 years ago in April of 18 was different volunteer committees. I had tried to come up with a few different committees: a sponsorship committee, a membership committee, an event committee, an outreach and education committee, and a communications public relations committee. Um, you kind of need people to make committees work. And so the committees never really came to be. Of course, with a lot of those things, you need a leader for each of those. We would have needed a membership coordinator, sponsorship coordinator, kind of things like that, or director on our board, or however we would define those titles. Um, Currently, our new secretary, Kim Anthony, is on the Zoom with us tonight. Has accepted some of the responsibility on helping us nail our membership tracking and member value down. We're not calling her necessarily our membership director. She's our board secretary. Um, but she is helping us, at least for starters, get that sort of in line, so that as we move forward, hopefully, and we get a full, a dedicated membership director, somebody that's really driven to help us gain new members and build that member value, kind of thing. Uh, but until that time, we've got Kim helping me out with that, so I appreciate that. What else did I have here? Event committees. That's another good example. Kind of at the drop of the hat a month or so ago, we thought, let's go ahead. We didn't have an event last year. We've been trying to plan a cannabis convocation on 7/10, July 10th, which falls on a Saturday this year. Um, we are within 4 months of that date, and we are now trying to kind of nail down a location and a format, and have an event this year. We are going to try and do our best to keep it as safe as we can. We want it to be sort of a live slash a virtual event, um, which is kind of interesting, because with national today, on our national call, excuse me. Oh, onions for dinner. Uh, so I didn't need to share that. We were actually invited to participate as our chapter in a virtual convention expo for CBD products. I think it was the Canna. See if I can go find the email on it real quick. Canna Conference and Expo, Emerge Canna Conference and Expo. And it's really neat. They're using a type of software. I think it's called Hyperfair. It is produced, I think it's a Dutch software. Um, and in essence, the sponsor of this event was showing us a little bit about how it worked. And so the users can actually log in. They get a little icon. You're standing in the middle of a convention hall. You can walk down the rows and stop at the different convention booths. Um, Very cool software. I know some of the other executive directors and some of the other board members from the other chapters were asking this guy about the software a little bit more. And the what I caught was, yes, we've spent a lot of money to be able to, in utilization of the software. I did actually go and look at the website, and found like local sellers of the software, and again, very cool stuff. Way outside of our domain, as far as our local chapter. But we've been invited. They're actually setting up one entire, what do they call it, exhibit hall, just for NORML chapters. And they have about 30 booth spaces available in this virtual hall. So we think we've got our dibs in on one of them. There's two sizes. We don't know which one we're getting, if we get one at all. It's sort of first come, first serve. And so we just threw our name in the hat and hopefully we'll have this. And I think, oh, they mentioned the dates on it a couple times, and I think it is like late March into early April when this expo starts or runs for about a week. Um, Late March, early April. So we'll kind of keep you posted on that. And now I went and I hid that document again. Um, Communications, PR, outreach, education. A lot of things that we really want to talk about. Oh, actually, this is kind of interesting. We had outreach and education 3 years ago. We were doing some sort of collaboration with a local radio station on voter registration. We had a team. It may have just been my wife and I. May have been a couple of. Actually, I think there was a couple of other participants that year. Actually, it says 4 members finished in the Cooper River Bridge run. So we had representation as at that time Low Country NORML in the bridge run. So there's a lot of things kind of going on. It's hard to keep that momentum, and that's why. Well, and of course, COVID is putting a lot of dampers. We have not had an event since December 2019, and that was basically supposed to be a little get together party here at my end of holiday season party here at my home, and I got like sick that morning. It was not pretty. Some folks showed up, and my wife was a champ and tried to entertain as best she could, but I ended up turning pale and disappearing into the back. Anyway, um, I know Kristen I've got on here and Kim I've got on to our board members, and it was brought up at our board meeting yesterday on do we keep these meetings going. I think the only way we should keep them going, though, is to kind of revisit the agenda format that we used to use and maybe modify it since we're covering a lot more of the legislative news on the cannabis conversations, more real time or more, current event type thing. We may not need to go into the detail on those type of things and then sort of trim down what else we would use to talk about. Tailing on the end of this, seeing on this particular one, yeah, we usually would then talk about upcoming events and things like that at the tail end of our monthly meetings. I see here for a while we were trying to do a board game month. I have a collection of marijuana related board games. We were planning an event. We had one in Marion Square that year. That was actually a pretty interesting year. We had some very good speakers there. We had about 6 different speakers. Great event. And oh man, that's right. We had an after party up at Music Farm that year too. Anyway, we want to kind of look back into some of those kind of things coming in the future. Boy, I'm kind of flip-flopping from where I was last night on our conversation. I really have a feeling we're going to hang on to these monthly meetings, and talk more event and administrative and the things we just sort of covered. Anybody want to chime in? Give me a little bit of feedback. I know I talk a lot, and yep, my mic is still on. Would be the first time I talked for 10 minutes with my mic off.
I mean, I definitely agree. Like, I can see the merit in keeping the once a month. And like we were saying, like if for whatever reason in the future we decide that it's getting more redundant, then we can definitely reevaluate. But
appreciate that. I appreciate that. Yeah, I think I do agree. It is again something we're leaving on the table for now. We'll back burner it. We will continue to do these. It's unfortunately what happens from my end of it, from kind of the admin end of it. We try and get our newsletter out a day or two before the monthly meeting. So the third Tuesday of the month is a cue for us, if nothing else, is to get our newsletter out a little bit ahead of time, because the newsletter used to be pretty much just a monthly reminder of the meeting, and it grew into a little bit more informative newsletter. And What we're trying to do both with the newsletter and our social media posts, and I'm not great at it yet, but is to actually create a blog post on our website and then sort of link the post to our social media and try and drive more traffic to our site. Um, it was interesting. I had a conversation with director of Arizona Normal. I think it was Sunday, and the guy's got 14 years, I think, experience in doing web design and SEO and all this. And I wasn't talking to him about that particular stuff. We were actually talking more about options for this upcoming event that we want to do. Um, and he did give me an interesting option I'm sort of looking into and see how we can make it work. Um, I've sort of signed up and I'm going to start doing a little bit of testing on it to see what can happen. And hopefully in the next couple of days or week or so, we can find a location. Um, for anybody that has been kind of watching, we are hoping to hold it in Colombia, but excuse me, with time getting a little narrow, um, we may have to shift gears a little bit. I'm hoping to have, well, I have a scheduled appointment tomorrow with our secretary, Kim, and a representative of Sagerfield. Oh, geez, I forgot the name of it now. Uh, Baseball field up in the area, and they have some event space. What was the name of it, Kim?
I think it's pronounced Sagra.
Sagra. Okay, that sounds about
Something
right.
like that. I can never get it right either.
Okay, then I don't feel so silly. Yeah, it was one of those. Okay, what's the name of this? Sergey. Um, so anyway, it looks like they have some interesting space there. I just don't know. Again, I'm just one of those. I've got a little bit of a fear that it may be a little out of our reach. Now, the one thing financially out of our reach. The one thing I do like about the one space that I saw there, I think they had max head count of about 500, but of course we want to try and do some reduced counts. Um, for safety, social distancing. So even if we could do 200, 150, 200 people plus our vendors and our guests, it sounds like that space would work for it. I might have some questions on like what it might take for vendors to get their gear in there. Nice thing about the space, it was indoors, so we don't have to worry about July heat or rain or wind or all that kind of stuff. So vendors wouldn't have their pop-up tents as much as they would have, table space. And again, we would try to give them a little extra buffer space for safety's sake as well. I believe that space also had, hang on. I believe that space had some monitors that we could kind of tap into. One of the questions that we had is because we're looking to do a combination virtual live event, how were people that were at the live event supposed to participate in the virtual portions of the event? Were they supposed to go hide in a little corner somewhere, pull out their phone or their iPad? And kind of, yeah. Or my thought is if we have access to something like a monitor, we could actually plug in one seat as the monitor and people could view it in mass, as, kind of like if they were all sitting around behind me here. Um, and and tap it right on in from my iPad or something like that, right on into the monitor. Um, all it takes is this see if I can pull it up. There's a little cable and this little adapter here, and I can mirror my iPad screen to a television. So that I mean it's because we're broke, because we're tight budget. It's not going to be a Hollywood production. Whatever we end up at. Matter of fact, a couple of our rallies I felt were sort of. I don't want to say amateurish, but they were definitely grassroots is probably the phrasing I would like to utilize. Um, down to earth, grassroots, pull up your bootstraps and make something happen, hand painting signs. And do I even have one handy? No, I don't. Um, so now this is something completely different than a rally. This I want to be more of an educational event. We are looking to invite other nonprofits that have clients that are affected by marijuana law. Good example I use quite often is people that are trying to help the homeless. It's not unusual to find that a homeless person has a marijuana conviction on their record, a possession conviction on their record. Um, there's the problem of somebody with a marijuana conviction getting a student loan. So if there was some sort of organization that's trying to help students, or an expungement group would be a great partner for us in this type of event. We know we're going to invite places like the ACLU. We're going to be inviting the Compassionate Care Alliance, Cannabis Forward up from the upstate. And these are part of the reasons why we'd like to have it in Columbia, is because it will be easier for some of the other communities, organizations that are scattered throughout the state. I believe Cannabis Forward is more Greenville area. Um, and so, being Columbia was actually became the capital. I looked this up the other day. Columbia became the capital of South Carolina because it was more or less in the center of the state. The previous capital was Charleston, South Carolina. So, a little bit of history. I don't know exactly when that changed, but it changed for geographic reasons to make the state house more accessible to all corners of South Carolina. Now, all right, we are coming up on about 7:30 here. I don't want to ramble your ear off, but I do want to kind of finish up a little bit on our event here. So yeah, things are starting to kind of materialize in my mind. It was interesting because Kim was asking me some questions about it. I think it was Sunday night when we were having a little chat on some of it. And she's like, how many people are you expecting? And what are you expecting on doing? And then those same questions were kind of thrown at me by the folks from Arizona. And I was, each time I'm kind of getting these questions thrown at me, I'm kind of piecing together a little bit more of a concept on how to make this fly. One of the things I do like about the application I did find, I'm going to click over on another screen here on mine, a software called, a web page software app, I don't know, called Run the World. And I just signed up for a free account, and let me see if I can find what the free account gives me. You can set up these like conference rooms. Oh, it's taking me back to finish my profile, and I'm not doing that. You can have what they call host talks. It's an organized and interactive meeting, webinar, or social event. And then they have host a conference as they plan a multi-track event. Something just popped up in my way and I can't read the rest of that. Or an event with many sessions. And so you can have like breakout sessions. And these are ticketed type of events as well as free events, I think. Let's see if I can break that one out. And you can, this is not helping me find what I'm looking for. I have it set up where we can do these combinations, so you can give some free tickets like we were talking about member value. We're hoping to make some free tickets to this event available to card carrying members, and charge a fee to non-members to participate in the event, whether they show up live, whether it's to participate in the actual hosted meetings. We're trying to figure out the logistics on how to make them work, but we think this software is going to help us out with that quite a bit. And this is something where, again, we've been offered to have a speaker come in so far. We think that we can use this conference option on this, the conference segment of it. with the additional sessions to utilize that, because I think you can bring people into your conference. And my understanding is sort of you have a big main room, and then you can break people out into smaller rooms, kind of like the breakout rooms in Zoom, but not. Um, just signed up today. It looks like I've got myself a little bit of book learning, uh, internet learning. Go ahead and they have a couple little tours and things like that that I can try and learn how to work my way through it. But I think this is going to be an interesting option for us, and the free one works right now for an event that is about the size of what I anticipate ours to be. So, that's enough about talking about the upcoming event. I'm still at the point where I'm hoping we can pull this off. No guarantees. I did pretty much give a good cover on what the old agendas used to be like, and I'm looking at the very bottom after we go through current, upcoming events. The last thing I mentioned was where the next meeting was going to be. Next meeting here is going to be on Zoom on a Tuesday night at 7. Last time it was in May at Coleman Public House. So we got to go out and eat and have some drinks together. Again, we're looking to get some live meetings coming in the future. Let's see how the vaccination goes, and let's see how our first event goes before we start trying to pull off live meetings. And the problem really with live meetings and being a statewide organization like we are is you're not going to be able to have access to or make it accessible to people throughout the state. Josh has projectors and large screens we can use. Ooh, that's very cool. Um, we'll keep that in mind, Josh. Um, did you get your package? It may have shown up today. Um, anyway, that's kind of all I have for tonight. We will definitely keep that in mind, projectors, because I have an old digital projector, and I don't know if it would even be bright enough on, depending on the location. So I wouldn't be thinking mine be a good option, but oh, good, you did get your package. Excellent, excellent. Um, Josh tells me he is going to be there. Oh, and I might as well talk about this real quick, and as we finish out this meeting, I will be talking about this more tomorrow night at the South Carolina Cannabis Conversation every Wednesday at currently 7 p.m. There may be some news coming up on that shortly as well. We may have to just change times a little bit later on those conversations. But anyway, as many of you that are on this call already know, there is the hearing for the Compassionate Care Act Senate version S-150. It's a hearing in the Senate Medical Affairs Committee. It is scheduled, well, the hearings start at 9:30 that morning, on Thursday morning at room 105 in the, I don't remember the, some building. It's definitely on our website, and it's definitely on our Facebook stuff. But we'll be talking more about that tomorrow night. There is 5 items on the agenda, and the S-150 is the 4th item on the agenda. And I saw a comment by Jill Swing from the Compassionate Care Alliance yesterday, who's been to a lot of these hearings. And she said that S-150 probably won't come up until the afternoon portion of the session. So if you happen to go and look at the stuff I posted on our blog at normalsc.org, or I posted something, I think, on our social media as well, directing you to the blog. But it talks about getting up there bright and shiny on Thursday morning and being there as the doors to the State House open at 9 o'clock. That probably hasn't changed. It's just the itinerary items within the schedule that day will just have to kind of flip-flop around. I got a comment, I believe, on one of our posts about that from somebody who said that they were going to be there as well, but that they had a mandatory training at 1 o'clock in the afternoon because they had gotten their hemp license here in the state. And unfortunately, they're probably going to miss the hearing because they're going to have to go and take their training for their hemp license, whatever that thing is they told me about. So, we do know we're going to have some support there. I'm going to be bringing along a pocket full of our brochures. I do want to mention our brochures real quick since I pulled one out. I can't see myself. Oh, I can kind of see myself. One thing I always like to talk about the NORML brochures. These are our new ones with the new South Carolina NORML name on it. Boom. Just had these printed, and I think we received them in January or February. Name effect one in January. But just inside on the flappy panel is what we have here, the NORML Foundation Freedom Card. You read any of that? Probably gets blurry up that close. And this part down the bottom with the dotted line around it is the Freedom Card. And what this basically, the top part tells you is what the Freedom Card is and then what to do with it. And the bottom card you cut out and you keep with your identification. And basically what the Freedom Card is something that you give to law enforcement if you ever have to have an interaction with them, if you get pulled over, if you get stopped. And it basically is talking about invoking your rights and refusing to waive your rights that are afforded to you by the Constitution of the United States. So you invoke and refuse to waive your Fifth Amendment right to remain silent. I do not answer questions. So some of you on the call probably already know. Others do not. I happen to have this obsession on watching First Amendment audits on YouTube. Some are definitely better than others. Some are Second Amendment type audits, but even in these audits, they quite often invoke their Fifth Amendment right to not answer questions, their Fourth Amendment right to not give up, to be safe in their person and their valuables and not, consent to searches, their Sixth Amendment right not to answer questions without an attorney present. Some of them do carry during these, and so they exercise their Second Amendment rights. And the Third Amendment, that's just a weird one, is the military can't live in your house during non-wartime. But apparently back during the 1700s, that was kind of an issue. They would house military in people's homes, or I guess it was an issue. Anyway, it also invokes your Miranda rights. And everybody should have that with their ID. So I will be bringing a handful of these brochures along. I did send, maybe 20 or a couple of dozen up to Joshua here, who's on the phone call with us today, to pass around while he is there. Also, I did ship to, and I think it went out just this morning, to Kim. You'll be getting 2 of the brochure holders and I don't know, about 3.5 pounds of brochures. It's probably enough to fill a couple of, while I have you on the phone real quick and while I'm thinking about it, instead of trying to jot down it in an email, I'm just going to kind of throw it at you here real quick. My sort of thought or concept on brochure holders in the community, out in the community, is to try and leave them in one location for only about 30 to 60 days, trying to check them, possibly every 2 weeks, and limiting the number of brochures that you put in them. A lot of times I'd put in somewhere between 12 and 20. I try and remember what number I had in there. When I get back in 2 weeks, I could count and see, was there still 12 there, still 20 there, or did some of them go? But usually, depending on the location, by the time you get through a 60-day period, they've been through their regular customer cycle many times twice. Now, mind you, my barber tells me, hey, good if somebody makes a mistake with your haircut, it's only 2 weeks till till it gets fixed. Well, he's a little off on that because I'm one of those people that wait 6 or 8 weeks. I get my haircut pretty short, and then I don't know. I probably look like the Beatles in about 1963. So it wasn't really long yet. I think it touched their ears. But anyway, yes, I'm aging myself, dating myself here. So a good example is the hair salon, and now the gals on the phone may know better on a hairdresser than I, but I would say guess that if a regular cycle is about every 2 to 4 weeks. You leave it there for about 6 weeks, and then it's gone through about 2 cycles with that client base, and then pull it and see if you can find another place nearby, or someplace that you frequent. Um, I like to do them in places that I frequent only because it makes it easier for me to kind of check on them. For quite a while, when we started the organization, we were getting free magazines from Leafly and from Freedom Leaf, and I think those were the only two we were getting, Leafly and Freedom Leaf. Um, and so I would take some of them. A good example, there's a tobacco shop not far from me, and they had a pretty good influx of clientele. And they also had a little paraphernalia corner. So I asked the owner there if I could put some brochures in there. I may have even put petitions in there at some point. But because I'm not a cigarette smoker, a tobacco user, it wasn't a place that I personally frequented a lot. So I had to kind of remind myself to get back in there at least once a month and change up the magazines when the new batch of magazines came in. And then some of that got thrown off because I think Freedom Leaf ended up going quarterly or every other month and then quarterly. So that always threw me off because my reminders changed. Usually when they arrived, it's like, oh, that reminds me, I have to do this. And we had a few places I used to do on a regular basis and put the magazines out, and between Charleston and James Island and Folly Beach. So that's the long ramble on that one. I appreciate you wanting to put some out. I only gave you two of the holders at the moment. And some places too, you might just see where they put things on the windowsill. Just drop two or three. You don't need to make it a big pile. And then keep me posted. Let me know how it goes. That is it for tonight. Oh,
I was just saying, sounds good. I'm excited to get them.
Okay, cool. What else was I doing today? Oh, I was looking at new pins because I was getting some other stuff ready to go up to Colombia. A lot of the little round buttons that we have are South Carolina normal. I'm sorry, they're low country normal. So I'm bringing like a couple pockets full of buttons. So I don't know how many people are going to want them, but I'm going to give away some of these buttons for free to anybody that might be interested that happens to see me. So if you see me, flag me down and get a button. Also going to have probably some little stickers. They originally said low country normal. Once we did the name change, I pulled out my little rotary trimmer and I cut off the part that says low country. And now they just say normal, working to reform marijuana laws or something like that. So I'll have some free stickers. I will also have, what's up there on the shelf behind me? Let me grab this real quick. The gold and green enamel leaf pins. We have about a dozen of them left in inventory here. I will be bringing those along. They will be a $5 donation each if anybody would like a fancy little gold and green enamel lapel pin. That's another thing we are kind of looking at. I was actually working on earlier today. We like these gold little green lapel pins. We think they're economical. And there is an option too that National uses. It's a heavier pin. It is a gold leaf, no enamel. Actually, we have an option of gold or silver on them, but their price is about 125, 135% higher than these are. They're more than double the cost on the green enamels. They're nicer. I think they're a nicer little piece of jewelry, but for a lapel pin, I'm debating, and we'll talk about this with my board shortly. But we are restocking some of our items in our store. So yeah, we will have pins, we will have brochures, we will have some stickers along with us. And I'm hoping to see you all up there if you're available. I did hear from Joey, who's on the call with us the other day. Doctor's orders. He's going to be there with us in spirit, and we'll have you there with us, my friend. So we're looking forward to it. This is my first trip to Colombia to the State House. And if you read the itinerary that I posted on our blog on our website, I do actually kind of figure I'm going to take the State House tour at some point and learn a little history about the South Carolina State House and our government here. So that's it. I have talked to you for 45 minutes. I'm running out of wind, and your ears are probably starting to bleed. So we will be back here again next month, the third Tuesday of the month. Not certain if it'll be 7 o'clock or if we will be bumping times, but it'll still be the third Tuesday of the month. We'll keep you posted on any time changes. We'll also be back tomorrow night at 7 o'clock for the South Carolina Cannabis Conversation. We're really just going to reiterate the plans for Thursday. I'm going to try and psych myself up and get my travel bag packed. And that'll be it. We'll report back to you the following week. So that's it. 7 o'clock tomorrow night for the Cannabis Conversation. 9 o'clock at the State House. Actually, we're going to hopefully meet for a little nosh and coffee before that. And then we'll see you back again the following week for the Cannabis Conversation, fill you in and talk about any news. The next step after it gets out of committee is a floor vote for the Senate. I don't know how quickly that'll happen. I hope to be able to go back, when that does happen. So we'll keep you posted on all that again. 7:45 p.m. Thank you so much for joining me. We will see you again soon. Have a good night, my friend.